Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're playing some Lorcana. The deck list I want to talk about today is centered about this guy, Aladdin. Aladdin is a very powerful 7-drop. He has 5 power, then 5 willpower, and quest for 2. But the main thing is that whenever he vanishes a character during a challenge during your turn, you actually gain 2 lore, and your opponent loses 2 lore. Furthermore, you can shift 5. So you can play Aladdin on top of a smaller Aladdin for 5, and you don't have to wait for his ink to dry. So you can play the big Aladdin as a surprise over little Aladdin, Prince Ali. So we want to play Prince Ali with big boy Aladdin, and the small Aladdin's actually 2-drop. Slightly weaker stats. I assume that he's going to quest for 1, even though that's not confirmed yet. But it's most likely, since he has 2 strength, 2 willpower, and a ward, which is slightly below par stats for a 2-drop with a passive ability. Then, well, we're officially in Ruby Emerald colors. So what else are we going to play? Well, let's play some of the best. Let's play the Cheshire Cat, because this card's awesome. So this card's a 0-3 quest for 2. So poor stats, good questing. But whenever this character is challenged and banished, you banish the challenging character, which means that this little fellow is a threat. And he keeps on threatening to gain 2 lore. And if your opponent spends the effort to challenge it, then they will lose their character. And unless they have a Captain Hook for 1, the opponent's going to have to pay either multiple challenges to it and then still lose a character. And that's a lot of questing time. Or just lose a medium to big character while you've gained lore in the process. So a fairly good trade in your advantage. Another card that I really like to play in this color is Mulan. So Mulan's another expensive card. So 5-drop. She's a 4/5 for 5 and quests for 1. And whenever she challenges and banishes a character, all of your other characters gain +1 lore this turn. So Aladdin and Mulan both have this ability where they want to challenge your opponent. They want to remove characters off of the board, and by doing so, you gain lore, or you power up your other characters to gain lore. The plan of our deck list is actually to control our opponent's characters through all these challenges. So we're a challenge control deck. And so if that's what we're going to do, then we're going to be playing big cards. We're going to be playing Donald Duck for 2 to help with our curve. He's a 2/3 quest for 1 for 2, just a solid stats-based character for challenging. And we'll do the same in the 3-drop with Mickey Mouse Steamboat Pilot, who's actually a 3/4 for 3. It's probably the toughest stats on the 3-drop out there. No ability, only quest for 1, which is subpar. But our plan is just to have this pressure and keep the board presence, prevent our opponent from questing, and just keep dealing with these characters. So if we're going to be fighting off all the small characters, what do we do about big characters? Well, solution for that is Dragonfire. Just banish the big characters with this spell. And that's the core of the deck. So we have 7 cards so far, and we need to play 15. But since we're only in spoiler season, I'm going to be playing 40-card decks. That way we get to have a consistent strategy, and I don't have to fill in my deck list with 8 available cards. I get to actually play a 40-card set that has a strategy that's consistent. Also note that I'm playing this card game using proxies because the real cards are not released yet, but I will support the official product upon release, and I highly encourage you to do so yourselves. That way we can keep on getting more cards, more effects, and keep on playing Lorcana for years, if not decades to come. So we still need to wrap up this deck list. What else are we playing? Well, we're going to be playing Jumba Jookiba. Actually, I'm going to put it over here. We're going to be playing Goofy, sorry. For some reason, I always get these 2 characters mixed up. So we'll be playing Goofy, and we will be playing Mickey Mouse, the Tailor of Doom. And these cards are most often going to go into our ink pool, feeding our main strategy. And the reason why I've picked high-costed cards, especially the 5-drops, is that early game they're going to go in my ink pool, but later game when we're in top deck mode, just living off the top of our deck, it gives us more odds of fighting these heavy hitters or slightly stronger characters that can help us turn the tides of the game. Now, Mickey Mouse at 8 is unlikely to see any play, but he's such an awesome looking card and the face of Disney that I wanted to include some copies myself. I just couldn't bring myself to play the probably more appropriate Scar, which would go in our 4-drop. I didn't really want to end up printing copies of it because I think its uses are limited. So we're going to be playing this game with Mickey Mouse. And now, let's see this deck in action with some games. Let's see who goes first. We won the dice roll, so we'll be going first. Let's see what we draw. Big Aladdin, Small Aladdin, Mulan, Small Aladdin, Goofy, Mulan, and Donald. It's actually a pretty good draw. Almost feels like I stacked the deck, but I didn't. Alright, so we have our Small Aladdin on 2. We can probably play Donald on 3 and still be fine, or actually inverse this. Donald on 2, Aladdin on 3. Then we'll want to keep a big Aladdin, we'll want to keep Mulan. Then the rest we can eat up in our ink pool. Actually, we don't really want to eat up that Mulan. And we'll want to play Aladdin on 5. So maybe we send one of the Mulans back. Then draw an extra card. It's Goofy. I'd rather see the Mulan later on and just eat the Goofy into our ink pool. Alright. What does our opponent draw? So opponent has Friends on the other side, Prince Eric, Hercules, Captain Hook, Second Prince Eric, Captain Hook, and Mickey Mouse. So the Captain Hooks can't actually be played for ink early on, so our opponent will probably want to send both of these into their decks. Mickey Mouse, the Musketeer, will go back into the deck, and one Prince Eric. The rest is fine. Opponent mulls 4 back. Gets another Prince Eric, fired a cannon, a big Maleficent, and another Prince Eric. So, a very Eric heavy hand. Let's show this while we shuffle. Eric. But we go first. So, we do not draw on turn 1. We will ink this Goofy, bringing us to 1 ink, and there's nothing we can do on 1 ink, so we'll pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card, Maleficent. Maleficent is the very scary 1-draw. Since our opponent has so many Erics, our opponent is going to eat an Eric into the ink pool and play the 1-drop Maleficent. Coming into play, starting to threaten us. So a Maleficent this early really needs to be dealt with, and we'll have our Donald to deal with it. Turn passes back to us, and we draw a Cheshire Cat, which does very well into our current ink curve. We'll be putting another Goofy into our ink pool, and we'll play Donald. 2 inks for the duck, as Donald is going to threaten taking out that Maleficent. We'll pass the turn back to our opponent, who draws a 3-drop Maleficent. Opponent will play a second copy of Prince Eric into the ink pool and summon a Prince Eric. Thankfully, we didn't play the Aladdin. Well, actually, the Aladdin couldn't be chosen by the fire to cannon, so it would have been safe. The opponent's going to be planning on playing Hercules to defend Maleficent next turn. So there is no questing, and the turn passes back to us. As we draw a card for a turn, another Goofy. Goofy's going to join the other Goofies in the ink pool, as we've now reached 3 ink. At this point, we want to go Cheshire Cat, simply because we're spending more ink on the Cheshire Cat. Then we'll keep some ink open to go double Aladdin next turn, potentially. We don't really... Actually, there's no reason not to quest with Donald here. Oh, yes, there is. Prince Eric. So if we quest with Donald, Prince Eric's going to take it down. Then we don't want that to happen, because Donald's the only thing keeping Maleficent from questing. So we'll pass the turn. Opponent draws Big Captain Hook. Now the opponent will put a Maleficent in the ink pool. And now it's interesting. Well, they're all 3-drops, so it's either Maleficent or Hercules. So Hercules is going to come in as a bodyguard, already exerted to protect Maleficent. And since we don't have a threat, opponent will quest for 3. Going all the way to 3, obviously. 3-0 is the score. Our turn passes back to us. We draw Dragonfire. A good card, which we unfortunately cannot put in our ink pool. And we really want to play an Aladdin next turn, and the only way to guarantee that is to keep Mulan to our hand. But our opponent is starting to put some pressure on the board. So I think we want to double Aladdin. Although just being able to play Aladdin is going to bring us back into a good position. So let's ink a small Aladdin and be inefficient this turn. Play a small Aladdin, ensuring that we'll be able to play our big Aladdin next turn, and keeping our Mulan for a future turn. And then we quest. So Cheshire Cat quests. Donald we will keep. We don't want Prince Eric to deal with our Donald. Cheshire Cat, well, I guess that's what Prince Eric does well. There's nothing we can do there very much. Or not much we can do. So he passes the turn back. Another hook. And now the opponent has an interesting play. Do they play Friends on the other side, or Maleficent, or have Hercules sing it? Well, Hercules doesn't want to trade with Cheshire Cat, so Eric is going to go and trade with the Cheshire Cat. Which is unfortunate for us. Our opponent just traded a 2-costed character for a 3-drop. Opponent will quest with Maleficent, because that's what Maleficent does. Now, Hercules can either quest or do nothing, so it might as well sing. Hercules, sing! Friends on the other side to draw 2, which was essentially free. Opponent draws the Beast. The Beast is a good draw, and a second copy of Fire to Cannon. So the opponent could fire the cannons on all cylinders and take down Donald Duck. But instead, I would rather put the Beast into the ink pool and play a Maleficent that draws a card. Ooh, another Friends on the other side. Then there's a Fire to Cannon that's available to fire. There's no real point in firing that, because Hercules is still there. So the opponent will just pass the turn back. 2 to 5. We draw. An Aladdin for 2. This Aladdin is going to go into our ink pool. And with 5, we get a shift Big Boy Aladdin onto our small Aladdin. And I need to update these cards more frequently. Alright, and then Aladdin is going to challenge. And he has to challenge Hercules. So Aladdin challenges Hercules, taking 3 points of damage. We gain 2 lore, up to 4, and our opponent loses 2 lore, down to 3. Now Donald is free to take down Maleficent, taking a single point of damage. And that's the power of shifting, and shifting Aladdin especially. We've just taken down 2 of our opponent's characters, one as a surprise. Maleficent was supposed to be safe, because the only thing we had on the board was the small Aladdin and Donald. So we've taken down Maleficent with the efficient trade, and we've managed to trade to gain back the lore with Aladdin. So very efficient move on our side. Very pleased with that one. Turn shifts back to our opponent, who draws. Opponent draws the wardrobe. This Maleficent is a little weak. Well, she can take down Aladdin. Although it's probably better to fire the cannon. So fire the cannon and Captain Hook is probably what we want to do. So opponent is going to fire the cannon, take down our Aladdin. Of course that costs 1 lore, 1 ink. Gotta get the terms right. Opponent is going to play the wardrobe into the ink pool in order to play Captain Hook, taking back fire the cannon. Thanks to Captain Hook's ability, he's just able to pick it back up from the discard pile. And then Maleficent is gonna sing Friends on the Other Side. Another draw 2. Very powerful card. The opponent has a flurry of Captain Hooks, another fire the cannon, firing on all cylinders. This is an especially powerful draw spells, which is part of the core of our opponent's deck. For now, the turn swings back to us and our lonely Donald. We draw a Jumba Jookiba. We do have the Dragon Fire, but I think we just want to go with a stronger drop here. And go Jumba. Jumba's a 4/5, quest for 2, and that's about it. Now we are winning the lore race. If we quest with Donald, Hook's gonna take it down. We can fight Maleficent, or challenge her. That doesn't seem overly advantageous. Then again, there's not that much that Donald's gonna do. So I think we trade with Maleficent. Get that 3 drop off of the board, and pass the turn back. Opponent draws. Big Mickey. What does our opponent do in the face of Jumba Jookiba? I think it's Maleficent to draw 1. So this small Maleficent has the ability to simply draw a card, drawing a beast. So beast is going to go in the ink pool for the next turn. Then there's fire the cannons galore out there. There's none in the discard pile. So the opponent's just gonna use 1, fire it to Jumba for 2 points of damage. Setting up for a fire the cannon, Hook, fire the cannon next turn. And then the opponent can quest with Captain Hook, going up to 4 since Jumba would lose. Well, they would both trade in a fight. Turn passes back to us. We draw. Goofy. So Jumba is going to quest, because he quests for 2, and our opponent doesn't have any particularly good trade. And I think we just drop whatever's our best one, which is going to be Mulan. Actually, I think it's Goofy in this situation. Let's go Goofy. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws. Readies, then draws. Draws a Hercules. Now our opponent's on 6, which means that it's Captain Hook for 4. Take back the fire cannon from the discard pile. Now our opponent has 2 of the fire cannons. And those cannons are getting fired to take out Goofy. Boom. So the rest of our opponent's ink gets spent. Goofy hits the bin. And then our opponent can take down Jumba using Captain Hook for maximum value. It's a trade. And the opponent can quest 1 with Maleficent, going up to 5. Turn passes back to us. We draw. We draw Cheshire Cat. We'll be efficient with our ink and just play Mulan, passing the turn. Opponent readies. Draws. Friends on the other side yet again. Opponent will... Well, you should always play Friends on the other side first. So, Maleficent will play Friends on the other side. She's singing. Gotta sing it. It's a free draw too. Opponent draws Eric and Hercules. And with 6, it's either a pair 3 drops, a pair of Hercules, or the Big Mickey. Big Mickey's 2/7, quest for 2. I think our opponent just goes for the double Hercules. Might as well play them exerted to try and protect the weaker Maleficent. Then Hook will quest. 6/6. Turn passes back to us. We draw Donald. Now to be efficient, we go Donald Cheshire for 5. Oop. No rage quitting. No rage quitting. And Mulan can take out a Hercules if we want to. That's the only thing she can take out. But let's keep it for next turn so we can actually pump up our Donald and Cheshire Cat and try to race, which is pretty much our only option at this point. Opponent readies. Opponent draws a Maleficent. So now with the pair of Hercules in play, that Maleficent would be pretty safe. We do have a Cheshire Cat in play, so our opponent will want to worry about that. But I think our opponent simply goes... Actually, Eric trades really well with the Cheshire Cat. So maybe our opponent just taps out. Plays Hook and Eric to the board. And then everyone quests. Questing for 4, going up to 10. As Hercules keeps on providing the protection needed for these weaker characters. Turn passes back to us. We draw a second Cheshire Cat. Well, since our plan is racing, Mulan's going to take out a Hercules, take 3 points of combat damage in the process of that challenge, which means that Donald and Cheshire Cat can quest for 1 extra, so we'll quest for 5, going up to 11. And then we get to play another Cheshire Cat, and we pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws a Drawing Maleficent. what happens now? So opponent can quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a little slow considering what we have. So opponent will want to do some trades. Eric will trade with the Cheshire Cat. Cat always taking down its victims thanks to its ability. Then Maleficent is going to fight Mulan, both hitting the bin. And then Hook can fight Donald. But the poor duck is the victim. After all, the pirate has a gun, which are highly effective against ducks, as far as I've heard. And then the opponent gets the quest. So quest with boat, going up to 12. Play the Maleficent for 3. Let's see what we draw. Fire the cannons. Alright, and it's going to be a Maleficent for 1. Still protected but because of the Hercules in play. So pair of Maleficents, the 3-drop and a 1-drop. As the turn passes back to us, then we are out of steam. And you draw the big Mickey. But at this point, our only option is to Dragon Fire the small Maleficent. And this feels really bad. When you spend Dragon Fire to take out a small Maleficent, you know you're in bad shape. Since the only card we have left is this Mickey, let's throw it in the ink pool, because we're not going to cast it. Request for 2. Go to 13. Pass the turn back. Opponent readies. Draws a card. It's a beast. Small Hook is going to go trade with the Cheshire Cat. Quest with the team. Going up to 15. And the opponent just needs to play Mickey Mouse, and that'll be game. We draw. Oh no, we have a Dragon Fire. We can use it to kill Mickey. Pass the turn back. One draws. Small Maleficent. Quest for 3. Plays Beast Maleficent with a 6 ink. Passes the turn back. We draw a big Aladdin, which we cannot play. And that is the end of game number 1. Let's see if we get more luck with game number 2 in the same matchup. Let's go for game number 2 with our Aladdin deck. So what do we have in our opener here? Pair of small Aladdins, one big Aladdin, which we will want to keep. And then in terms of curve, so one Aladdin on 5. We have a Cheshire Cat as well as a Mickey. We don't really need any more of these Aladdins. And yeah, that's probably good. These will go in the ink pool. And this feels like an appropriate curve, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we will keep the hand as is. We'll pass the turn. Well, we'll see what our opponent draws. And we'll choose to go first, of course. 5, 6, 7. 1 drop Maleficent. Perfect. So now we are post board, so our opponent knows what we're playing. I don't think that matters very much. So a wardrobe is good on 3. Actually, there's a pair of 1-drop Maleficents. Wardrobes, friends on the other side. Fire the cannon's not that useful against our deck. At least not in 1 copy. So fire the cannon is going to go back in the deck. And these cards are good for the ink pool. So I think our opponent keeps it as is. Except for that fire the cannon. We'll draw 3-drop Maleficent instead. Fire the cannon goes back into the deck. Alright, and we go first. So first, we don't draw. We just put Goofy into the ink pool. I feel like I've seen this move before. Goofy is a drop of ink right now. And I'll pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws another wardrobe. 3 wardrobes is too many wardrobes. Well, I guess some people would disagree with that. But for me, 3 wardrobes is too many. So 1 goes in the ink pool and opponent plays Maleficent. Starting with the pressure. Turn goes back to us. We draw a Mickey Mouse. That's too many 3 drops. But for now, it's more important to throw the small Aladdin into the ink pool and put Aladdin on the battlefield. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws. Fire the cannon comes back, but Aladdin has a ward, which means the opponent can't choose this character except for challenge, which means it cannot be chosen by Fire the Cannons. So the opponent is stuck with that for now. There's still a lot of wardrobes. Opponent can consider questing with Maleficent. But that Maleficent's not going to do too much right now. It's going to get taken out. So the opponent is going to send a 3-drop Maleficent into the ink pool and play a second copy of the 1-drop Maleficent, passing the turn back to us. Are you ready? We draw Jumba Jookiba. Another card that likes to go in the ink pool, since that was one of the main purposes for it. But at this point, I think we'll send the 3-drop Mickey Mouse into the ink pool. And with 3, we will go for Mickey. We want to apply some more pressure, make sure opponent doesn't get away with the double Maleficents. These things start questing, we are in trouble. So I'll pass the turn back. One draws another copy of the 1-drop Maleficent. This one is 1 copy too much. I'll go in the ink pool as the opponent will play a wardrobe, because why not? And the opponent knows we're playing the big Aladdin, so I think now is the time to double quest with the Maleficents, as I realized I've forgotten to reset the lore totals. Opponent quest up to 4. Turn passes back to us. Let the challenges begin. We draw a Goofy, which will go into the ink pool. We are on 4. And on 4, we'll want to play the Cheshire Cat. And we really want to take out the Maleficents, but if we do that, we can't play Aladdin next turn. So I think we just challenge 1 Maleficent with Mickey. I think we really have to. We have to challenge the other Maleficent with Aladdin. Maleficent's just too much trouble, and if we telegraph our opponent that we'll have the big Aladdin, then we're getting to all kinds of mind games, which are hard to really get into when you're playing against yourself. So we'll go with a simpler move. Take down the Maleficent, we'll lose Aladdin, but that's the price to pay. So Wardrobe can't sing, because if it sings, it can't take out our Aladdin. Wardrobe will take out Aladdin, taking 2 points of damage in the process. Goodbye, small Aladdin. You've tried. You've tried. Actually, here's fine. Now, our opponent has 3. Opponent wants to reach 6. So, Wardrobe goes back, and the second Wardrobe comes into play. And the turn passes back to us. We draw Mulan. Mulan's a bit of an upgrade over what we have, so we're going to throw Donald into the ink pool. And for 5, we are going to play our Mulan. And now Mickey would have to trade with the Wardrobe, and I'd rather quest than trade. So we're questing for 3, going up to 3. And we pass the turn back. Opponent readies. Draws a card for the turn. It's a Captain Hook. So at this point, The small wardrobe really wants to trade with the cat. So, there you go. I guess that's one way to trade with the Cheshire Cat. If you're if you're challenging with a creature that already has a bunch of damage on it, you're not taking as much of a loss. Then the opponent will want to sing. So the wardrobe sings. Friends on the other side. I have no idea how that song goes. Draws a beast, a Maleficent. So a beast is going to go in the ink pool. And then a second beast is going to go into play. Nothing wrong with just playing big creatures. Turn passes back to us. We draw Goofy. I would really like to play that Aladdin, so I'm going to put Goofy in the ink pool. Mulan is going to challenge the wardrobe. So Mulan will take 3 points of damage, which means that Mickey can now quest for 2, which is about as good as what we're going to get out of it. And for 5, we're going to play Jumba Jookiba, our good old 4/5 friend. Turn passes back to our opponent. Opponent draws. Friends on the other side, yet again. Opponent's on 5. There's a nice fire to cannons to take down our Mulan. That card is just so good, especially in combination with Captain Hook. To get it back, just keep on firing the cannons again and again and again. Now our opponent has the beast in play. The beast can quest for 2 or sing. I'm not sure what's the play here. Or take down Mickey. Yeah, I think it's take down Mickey. Take down Mickey. Taking 3 points of damage. And the turn passes back to us. We are low on cards with only our big Aladdin in hand. We draw Mickey. Mickey will go in the ink pool, and we've reached 7, where we get to just hard cast our Aladdin. Now Jumba could take down the beast, or quest for 2. When you can just trade evenly, you're almost always better off questing. So pass the turn back. One draws Prince Eric. Eric's a good card to throw in the ink pool. Now the opponent has to worry about challenging one of our characters. Because if Aladdin challenges a character, it's a big lore exchange that's going to happen. So the beast could go in and fight Jumba. I'm not sure what's the play here. It can be beast challenges, then fire the cannon, then Hook sings. Well, I think their opponent wants the Tailor from the beast. So how about we just cast Friends on the other side for 3. Draw 2. A pair of Hercules. Now that is interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have enough to both play the Hercules and the fire to cannon, unless we throw another card in the ink pool, which we might have to do at this point. That would keep Beast alive, so we can fire the cannons to Jumba, challenge it with Hook, then only Aladdin's remaining. We play Hercules. Hercules takes the hit, but the Beast keeps on questing. It doesn't feel good enough. I think the opponent just wants more stuff on the board. Although the lore's at 7. It's interesting. Very interesting. I really want to quest with the beast. So quest with the beast. Pretty sure that has to happen. And fire the cannon just feels a tad inefficient this turn. Unless we play Maleficent. Maleficent for 3 to draw 1. No, we want Hercules. Let's play Hercules. Let's have Hercules in protection mode and quest with Captain Hook. Again, when the trades are bad, questing can't be that bad, right? And now it's our turn. With 7 ink, we draw a Goofy. Goofy is definitely going on this board. So might as well play it right now, since our opponent can't interact. And now we have Aladdin and Jumba. Aladdin wants to take the least amount of damage, so Aladdin's gonna go after Hercules. Still taking 3 points of damage, but activating his super ability to gain 2 lore and draining 2 lore from our opponent, who goes down to 5. 4 lore swing. Then Jumba can take out Hook or Quest. Yeah, let's take out Hook. That way we're going to force the beast to take out Aladdin. And we pass the turn back. One draws. Prince Eric. Unfortunately, there's fire to cannon. Takes out our Aladdin. Then our opponent gets to play Hercules Eric for the 5 remaining. And the beast, well, since our opponent's behind, actually the beast quests. Because our opponent does have quite a bit of cards, and they'd rather trade Hercules or Prince Eric. Yeah, Hercules has the bodyguard. That way, we have to trade with Hercules instead of the beast. And turn passes back to us. We draw Dragonfire. We want to Dragonfire something. The beast for one just feels bad. So I think we Dragonfire to Hercules. And quest for 4. Up to 13. And we pass the turn back. One draws a Hook. Oh no. Opponent goes 4 for Hook. And then fire the cannons to take back Jookiba. Things are not looking good. These Captain Hooks just keep on removing our stuff. One quest for 3, going up to 10, and turn passes back to us. Thankfully, Goofy has evasive, so it's hard for our opponent to deal with it. And we draw another Aladdin, so another big threat. Aladdin! We quest for 2, up to 15. Pass the turn back. I think I might have forgotten to quest with Beast. Opponent draws a Mickey. Ooh, and Mickey can survive Aladdin. So Mickey's going to go protect the crew. And our opponent's going to quest for 4. Going up to 14. Turn passes back to us. We draw another Aladdin. Now that is interesting. Now we want the lore off of Aladdin attacking. Oh, we can just go to 19. So yeah, it's just Aladdin. Quest for 4. We go to 19. Pass the turn back. Let our opponent deal with that. Opponent draws another Mickey. Oops. Opponent quests for 6 and we lose the game. Well, that's why you should always count the lore on the field before making your play. Now, since we can try to roll back, right? Let's go back to 14. Since that was a big mistake. We were in this board state. So instead of double questing, we can actually challenge Mickey. We take 2, Mickey takes 3. And Aladdin challenges the Mickey, taking it out. We gain 2 lore, opponent loses 2 lore. Down to 12. And we still play Aladdin. Turn passes back. And then we are in the winning position that we wanted. And even if our opponent plays the Mickey Mouse and quests for 4, then we are in a position where Aladdin is going to allow us to survive. Unfortunately, in a tournament, you would not be able to travel back in time. That's why it's very important to always check how much is my opponent going to quest for, and does that end the game on the spot? Because if it does, then you have to do something about it. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed these games and seen the power of Aladdin, which is great, except that he keeps on hitting fire to cannon most of the time, at least in this matchup. But they were fun games. So I hope you've enjoyed these games. I hope you've enjoyed the decks, and I'll see you next time.